Hello, everyone, and welcome to our session with the topic Plug and Play Analytics in Retail. And today we have also a case study with a company called Lab9, and we have Jachym speaking as a Zoined user from that company. So maybe we could start with the very short intro first of everyone here. So, Jachym, can you please start?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Jachym Stevens, retail manager at Lab9, an APR like a retailer in Belgium with at the moment 32 stores. It's including our web shop. We're looking into opening another one this year, so we will have a total of 33 stores. And yeah, for us at Lab9, we have around between 150 and 200 salespeople, including our managers, like our district managers, who are responsible for certain regions. And yeah, of course, it's very important for us to provide them with the right details and numbers. And that's why we are very eager to work with dashboards. In the past, it wasn't really necessary because we grew in a very fast way. And because like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, we only had 7 or 8 stores. So the expansion went really fast. And yeah, to provide everyone with the right numbers and details, for us, it's very important to work with dashboards. So just to give you some background information about myself, I'm at the company now for like 2.5 years. But before I worked with another company, Switch, also at that moment, the biggest APR in Belgium. Um, there I worked with PowerBI, so I have a clear view about what are the pros and cons between systems like Power BI. But I'm also very happy that I'm working now with Zoined and that I can see all the benefits that it gives to Lab9 at the moment.
Yeah, thanks for the intro. I can quickly go next. So, Sasa Moilanen, I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Zoined, and I have a long background in all kind of business intelligence and data warehousing related things, and have been helping retailers and restaurants now for the past 10 plus years in getting their kind of data analyzed in a nice visual way and kind of helping them to act on facts, as we say, is Zoined.
And I'm Nona Vikman. I'm the customer success manager here at Zoined. I've been with the company for 1.5 years now. But before that, I worked heavily with different business intelligence tools. And in finance and controlling. So I'm very used to digging through masses of data. And now I'm very happy to be using the best tool of them also.
Yeah, cool. And if we look at the agenda here, basically we thought that we could maybe start with going through a bit what it looks like in practice when Lab9 is using this kind of retail-oriented business intelligence solution. What kind of value does it bring? And then later we go a bit further into this like a different kind of business intelligence systems comparison and what kind of like a methods and processes you have to keep in mind when you build these kind of BI systems. So let's jump into maybe, Jachym, to kind of how you actually use business intelligence in your daily life.
So actually, we already have like since a couple of times access to Zoined. I think when we started with the POS system Tilroy. But in the past, we didn't actually use it a lot because in the company nobody knew what the possibilities were of Zoined in combination with Tilroy. So it's now like a couple of months ago. I tried to figure out, okay, what are the possibilities? I looked to your YouTube videos, which were very helpful to understand more the possibilities of Zoined. And that's the moment where I saw, okay, we can do a lot with Zoined. And like what I'm using it for now is really to help our management, and that was the first step. Help my district managers and our sales coaches to more understand. Okay, what are we doing actually? And because I was using a lot of Excel and we had a lot of data, and the problem with Excel is, okay, it can show you stuff and it can show you things, but in the end, when you're analyzing a whole year, every invoice line, you have more than 100,000 lines in Excel, and it gets just so slow. So um, I was playing a little bit with all the parameters in Zoined, and I saw, okay, the numbers in Zoined are actually the same as in our internal system. So I was like, okay, I can put confidence in Zoined, because I know I'm working with the right numbers. And that's the moment where I really started, okay, creating some dashboards on the basic level. I just see, okay, what's the revenue, what's the margin, but I wanted to go more in depth. I want to see more things, like some connect rates, to really analyze, okay, because everybody knows, for a retailer, margin and contribution is really important. And we have some KPIs to elevate the margin, to elevate the contribution in our business. And that's what I was missing at the moment, because I saw the standard parameters in Zoin, but I want to go more in depth to create some connect rates, to more understand, okay, what's the connection between, for example, our devices and our services, which is very important for us. And then, I had contact with you guys, and it was really great to see how easy it was to communicate, to understand each other. And just in a few conversations, I really saw everything I wanted to see in a dashboard. I could really recreate everything I built in Excel with Zoint, and even to share it with my district managers or store managers. It's super easy, and just a resume. Everybody's now addicted to Zoint at Lab 9.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Do you have anything that you can share as like some like actual visual dashboards or?
I see, for example, in the Zova new store openings, new shops we've opened last year. And for me, it was very helpful to see live, and because it was a live data, I could follow it by the hour or the minute even. How the store opening, the first day of that store was going. So I created this just to see the revenue in the first week. I could follow the evolution by category, and for iPhone, Mac, Apple Watch, and iPad, in totals, in numbers, and in the subcategories too. So that was really helpful for me, because you could immediately see how the store opening, how we were performing during store opening. Also, very helpful is a dashboard for, like, for example, the launch of the new iPhone, and we can immediately see per store for the new models how they're performing. And it's very easy to set time range. You just select the categories you want to see, and then you can easily track live how each store is performing. What we also do in general, I will also share with our stores. It's like the daily sales of each store, where we can where we can compare to the budget or last year on all our KPIs and devices. So we're exactly the same for our services. It's very easy because of the connection between Tilroy and Zoined to select everything you want to see by store, by zone, by district, just to get a real good overview of your store performance.
You said you're quite a bigger team. So how do you utilize, do you share the reports a lot? Do you have different kind of stakeholders within the company using Zoined?
Yeah, we just started to actually as of last week, we started to share a lot. So in Zoined, it's possible to have multiple type of users. So, for example, you have a couple of administrators who can create dashboards. You have regular users who can consult and use the filters of the dashboards, and that's for my district managers and the sales coaches and the other higher level managers. But for our store managers, we share reports by email. So it was really easy to figure out how you can use existing dashboards, how you can create emails of them, share them as an attachment of the email, so they can every day also follow their store performance. It's individually, so each store receives the numbers of their own store. And to give them a bigger overview, we also send on a weekly basis. Each Monday, they receive the numbers of their store, but also in general of the whole business of last week compared to last year, and also the performance of the existing months compared to budgets.
That sounds like a handy way of doing things.
So if thinking about like a typical business value that you get from this kind of business intelligence tool, would you say that it's more about the kind of automating things and time saving, or is it like actual like a bottom line effect of just making better decisions and being able to make better margins and so on, or is it both as important?
It's both very important. For us, for the moment, the biggest advantage at the moment is really the time saving. And because, as I said, I already created everything in Excel, but it was getting so slow. And now just in one click, in 4 seconds, you have all the, you can really very easily see number of the previous week, current month, current year, which is really, really time saving. And also very important for me is that as we are using Zoined, everybody is working with the same numbers, and everybody understands where the numbers are coming from, and there is no there's no confusion anymore.
Have you ever tried to like estimate that how many hours per week do you now save because of using this kind of BI tool?
Sure. For me on a weekly base, I would say like easily 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah, and I guess in the organization there have been many other people who have had to do similar kind of manual work as well.
Yeah, exactly. Because we were doing exports from our POS system, we put them in Excel, and then the waiting starts.
Yes.
For everybody.
Yeah. Cool.
So now it's really cool. You can just create one dashboard, you share it with your whole team, and everybody's looking on the spot what we're doing. and indeed, it's also better to make instant decisions, or instant decisions on where we should be putting focus on for next week, for next month, or it's very easily to analyze the past year, so we can determine per store the bigger focus points for the next coming year. It's great that we can put more that we can put more time and effort in analyzing our numbers than creating.
Exactly. Yeah. I remember being a controller. The fact that all of my time went to actually building the report instead of looking through the figures, it's frustrating because the knowledge is the one that you really want to have.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
numbers.
Yeah, but yeah, one thing I'm curious about is that can you now remember from past couple of months any time when you would have actually found something surprising just because, for example, you were able to drill down into the details quickly and find some new information that was not maybe so obvious, that kind of how you assumed things would be?
Yeah, what I found, what surprised me was you just create a general dashboard, and then you can really easily dive in the details per store. And for example, when you have an overview of your Mac sales, and like MacBook Airs, MacBook Pros, Mac Minis, iMacs, and you just click on Zoom in store, then you can, for example, the iMac category, and then you can see immediately all sales of iMacs for per store. So if you just want to dive into some details, it's very easy to do.
Glad to hear. I know that you have been building quite a lot of reports lately, as I understand. How would you describe the process? So have you been building reports with other tools as well previously?
Yeah, so in the past I've used Power BI, and Power BI. There are some differences between Power BI and Zoined. For me, what I like about Zoined is that you can easily create some dashboards in a few clicks, and they can be understood by anybody. It's really easy to read and to understand. So in the past I've used Power BI. I do have to admit that Power BI has a lot of a couple of more options and possibilities. Maybe I don't even know even all the possibilities with Zoined, and because each day I'm discovering things. So so that's great. But I think it's just so user friendly. If you want to create a dashboard, you just can determine the parameters of all dashboards, and then it's really easy to duplicate them, to share them with your to share them with your team. So like in a few clicks, everybody has the right numbers and the right dashboards.
Yeah. And I guess that's maybe a good time now to move forward in the agenda to take a look at this like a plug and play analytics framework that what we are using in Zoin. So you are, of course, a very a unique person to now comment this, as you have worked both with Power BI and Zoin for in this kind of role that you have been developing reports yourself in both tools, and then also how you see it in the organization, what the effect is, and so on. But just to maybe say a few words about the slide first before we jump into the discussion, is that these are, of course, a different approaches to solving this problem. So very big enterprises typically want to own everything when it comes to business intelligence. So they have big internal teams working with data warehousing and BI solutions like Power BI, and want to have everything in their own hands and kind of build things totally from scratch. Whereas then when we think about more SMB and mid-market, we provide this kind of a jump start that in 24 hours you can have a full BI service that kind of fulfills 95% of those needs. And then if you want to go closer to the 100%, then you can, of course, work in kind of custom development project with us. But how do you see this kind of main difference and kind of where you see the pros and cons in both options from your kind of perspective?
Yeah, what I think with using Zoined or PowerBI, maybe I don't know all possibilities of Zoined yet, but what I liked about Power BI was, for example, it connects with almost everything, and because now I'm really deep diving with Zoined in our sales numbers actually, and our stock because it's into our POS system, which is connected to Zoined. But for example, in the past, I also used Power BI to measure all the KPIs of our marketing department, and because it was possible to connect with Google Analytics, with Meta, and also a very important one for us back in the days, but also now, is like to measure the conversion of our stores and the number of visitors compared to the sales. But therefore, in a BI system, you have to connect your system you're using for the visitor counts in store. So that's why. For the sales number, Zoined is really great and super easy to use. And yeah, maybe it's also possible to connect other systems to Zoined. But that's what I liked in the past also about Power BI, to have a full view over the complete business.
Yeah, and that's very typical use case for many of our customers that they start with, for example, this out-of-the-box point of sale integration, but then they might be using some like a bit more like a smaller system for visitor accounting, for example, in the stores, and then that would be exactly the point where we do the kind of custom integration project then. But that would be pretty much the same process with any other traditional BI tool as well. So also things like Power BI wouldn't typically have ready integration for some small visitor counter system. So then it would be quite similar kind of approach that we would basically then integrate the visitor accounting into Zoined, and then we would automatically have available things like conversion rates and so on. So that would be the difference. I would even say in our favor in that sense that once we do the integration, we do have the data model and metrics ready then for many of these other areas as well. So for example, those visitor conversion rates. And Google Analytics is actually one thing we did have an integration with the previous version of Google Analytics, but now the new GA4 is something we have like still open at the moment, that we need to finish that integration to be able to have that one as a ready integration available as well. But it will surely come. But yeah, that's definitely the one positive thing with these very big systems, with very big ecosystems, that they might have some ready integrations. But then on the other hand, when we are like focused on this one specific or two specific verticals, retail and restaurants, we have in that ecosystem actually quite good integration coverage. So we probably already support something like 50 plus like a retail restaurant specific systems, like workforce management system for working hours and costs and visitor counters and so on. So it depends on the exact case, of course, in which approach you have the best kind of integrations out of the box available. And the rest can be developed if needed, of course, in both options.
Yeah, as you said that you are still sometimes surprised that you learned that so it has some feature that you didn't know of. The same might apply to many of our customers, that they don't know that we do have these ready integrations for many systems that are specific to retail industry. You've been using for these BI tools for quite a long time now. So what do you feel is the next step? What do you wish for the tools to move on next?
It's I think it's easy to answer. Just keep it simple and don't be too advanced. Or it depends on the business, of course. But you can overanalyze, and it just needs to be simple and easy to use, so it can be used by anybody, and explain to anybody. That's and that's for me the most important, because I can analyze and overanalyze, and don't get away from my screen anymore, um, which is not the purpose in retail, of course. Um, but I want to easily explain the numbers to my management, to my salespeople, so they can easily understand the way we are thinking and the way we want to go to. And you have to use the numbers to explain your vision, and not the other way around.
Yeah, I think earlier what you mentioned about the one version of truth, that is definitely very important. And kind of, I think in the Zoined design principles, we have always thought it's best so that we have like a one way to define a certain metric, and then everybody in the organization will follow that. And for example, now when we created those new metrics for Lab 9, those custom metrics, I mean, those will be available everywhere in the service, and the calculation logic is always the same. So when different people use it in different contexts, then anyway, always the calculation logic remains the same, and people will be able to compare these different dashboards, for example, they have created. Maybe one thing still that I'm curious about now, based on your experience, I mean, in what kind of like context would you like recommend Zoined versus PowerBI? I mean, kind of if thinking about the decision-making criteria, where each fits kind of best in your opinion?
I would definitely recommend Zoined to every retailer, and because with Horeca, I'm not really familiar with, but specifically for the retail business, I can definitely recommend Zoined, because one, it's user friendly, and also pricing is really transparent. It's there's great communication, which I find very, very important, and because with all the new metrics we've created together, it was like, okay, just super easy communication, just give an explanation, we get an answer really fast, there isn't any delay, which I appreciate a lot, because sometimes I think about, okay, this should be handy. And then actually, from my point of view, I want it immediately, of course. So it's great that there isn't actually any delay in creation. So on many points, it's really great working with the tool, but also with the people behind the tool.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And I mean, personally, I would still imagine, of course, that if you have a very huge enterprise, then maybe Power BI is something you want to internally use, because you want to keep everything in control. But that's a very like a costly approach, of course. And
and it also depends on the business you're in. And if you have like 30 stores, you don't even need Power BI to to measure everything.
Yeah, and it's true what you say, that Power BI has probably a lot of like advanced features that then maybe are not that usable in the normal course of business in most cases. So it's more valuable to have something that just works and is easy to use and easy to learn to use, and you have that one version of truth that you can easily share in the organization. So that's kind of what we are trying to do with the product, and it's nice to hear that.
Yeah, because I think Zoined and Power BI in the end, also depending on the business, but for example, when I look at my business, everything I can do with Power BI, I can also do with Zoined. So for me, it's great to use Zoined, there's just one thing that's quite different between Zoined and Power BI, and that's just the visualization of the dashboards. And I think in Power BI, you just have a couple of more options with conditional formatting and those kind of functions, which are more limited at Zoined. But yeah, in the end, it's the numbers who count. So
yeah, we'll take that now into our development roadmap, the conditional
It's actually there. So at some point, you will see some of those is Zoined as well.
that would be great.
Yeah. Okay. But I think we have now covered the key topics we had on the agenda. So again, thank you a lot for your time and great insights on kind of business intelligence for retail topic overall. So I think
You're welcome.
we are very happy to have you as a customer, and we'll now really take a look at our technical roadmap to get the conditional formatting there.
Yes, we're always open to ideas, and we really
Great.
appreciate your input.
Great.
Okay. Thank you, Jachym. Have a great day.
Thank you.